Going to look at an Akai R44. This is a cassette deck auto reverse, Dolby B and C, goes back to 84, 85-ish, somewhere in there. This one here was brought in for service and it needs a little bit of attention. So on this one I've been told that it doesn't operate at all. I'm going to have to take a look and see what the problem is. But again, this is was a mid-level deck with Dolby B and C. One thing you'll notice about this one is it does not have any physical controls to adjust the record level and stuff. It's all done with electronic controls, which was kind of unusual for the time frame of this unit. Look down the top of this unit and you can see that there's a couple belts in here. Large flat belt for the capstan shaft. It's got a belt that operates the loading mechanism. Looks like this is for the loading mechanism. And it has another drive belt here for the real drives. Looks like that one's pretty sloppy. So this is going to need probably all three belts replaced on it. This is kind of unique. If we look at this unit, if I get a close-up shot of how this thing operates here, you'll see that this operates an optical encoder. See the optical encoder here? Here's our optical pickup. This is how it tracks how far it's turned the mechanism. So this is operating, it counts the pulses for operating the mechanism. Interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not able to show you guys the symptom of what it was doing, although what it did do is when you put it into any mode, it would try to go, well, it wouldn't go into forward play. It would go into reverse play momentarily and stop. And it would go into fast forward and rewind, but again, it would stop. The belt on that small motor at the bottom of the chassis is slipping, is what the problem is. And it's not completing the loading cycle. And how it works is it spins that optical encoder and it counts the pulses, so wasn't completing the cycle to get the brakes and stuff on and off, and it was shutting down. I did film it. Unfortunately, the file will not open. Somehow the file got clobbered on the SD card and I just can't recover it. So that's the problem with sometimes with digital memory, is that you sometimes lose things. Anyway, let's take this mechanism apart and get the belts replaced. So the first thing we have to do is we have to remove the two screws that hold the power supply regulator in place, because if we don't remove those, we won't be able to remove the actual cassette mechanism itself. So there's one screw on the back of the board, and there's another one that, well, you'll see here in a second.
Oh yes, it's right down. It's actually not this screw here. There's one down through here that I didn't see. That has to come out. Holds that bracket in place. So this one can go back. That one comes out there. Now that the power supply is out of the way, the entire deck should slide through. Oh, I gotta open it probably. There we go. Now the whole deck should just lift out. And if you're not careful, it will fall apart. And the whole front will come off, which we don't want. So we'll just carefully put this back together, like that, in place. Like that. Okay, now I've got this deck where I want it, so I can take it apart. As you can see, there's a fair bit involved in opening this unit up in order to get at the belts. It's not one of the easier ones to change the belts on, but I think I can unplug it from the the rest of the board here, we're going to undo these connectors just so that it's a little easier to work with. I still may want to open these up and just remove them, just to give myself some more room here. These just open up like that, and of course we're noting which way pin 1 is. And these should all be only fitting in one place, but I'm just going to mark this one with a 2 so that I know where it comes from. And then the third one as well. Just lift up the catch, open it up, and pull the wires out. These other plugs should plug in. One there, and the red wires over here. I'll mark the connector. That's that one. That way I can remove the entire deck assembly and work on this away from the rest of the chassis, which has got ridiculously sharp metal parts all there just to slice your fingers on. So let's just throw this out of the way. And now I have this ridiculously complex mechanism that needs to be taken apart to change the belts. Now, whenever you work on one of these units, it's a really good idea if you take pictures, or better still, video of the disassembly procedure, so that if you get stuck, you have a reference to go back to after the fact. I'm just going to cut this wire tie here just so that I've got some slack. Now I can remove the motor bracket assembly and change the belts. So there's one belt that I can take off here. And the second belt is right here that goes around the two capstans. And the third belt is on the control assembly. So I'm just going to slide this back a bit more here. There's another wire that's kind of in the way here, so if I can free this up a bit. I'm going to have to remove this wire tie down here as well to do that. There we go. Now I should have enough slack that I can lift this whole mechanism apart to change these belts. Out like that. That's a drive gear. Okay, that should probably be far enough that I can get this, slip this belt off. It's kind of hung up in the optical assembly, so I got to kind of turn it around to get through the optical assembly. And there is the belt. Now this is the one that's the problematic one on this unit, this belt here. This is the one that controls the mechanism and has been slipping. But we're going to change all the belts on here. It looks like these two are the same size too. One's a little bit bigger than the other, but those two belts out of the way. Now we have the capstan belt here, which just fits around the capstan shaft. And around this idler pulley. Okay, now I can go and try and find some replacements. I hopefully have got the right sizes for this thing. So let's go dig some belts up and see what I've got. I have 3 new belts that are reasonable facsimiles of the original ones, slightly smaller, which is what we want, so that they have a little more tension. So now I have to thread these belts up. I'll first of all put the control belt on, because that's the one that's going to be the trickiest one to get on here. So here's the control belt. Because I got to get it over the gear shaft here that controls the mechanism. There we go. I got to get it through the optical encoder piece first. So I'm going to put it through the teeth into one of the spaces here and just kind of turn it around, and that should take it through the optical encoder. Okay, I think I'm through there. There. Okay, that belt is on, and that's going to have some pretty darn good tension now, so we won't have to worry about that one slipping. Next belt is going to be the 2 capstan belts, which has to go around this in a specific manner. It goes around one side here, and then it goes up the other side and around this idler. So the threading pattern of this belt comes around here, and then it goes around this side, and then around this pulley and back around. That's the threading pattern. So we'll take the belt in, take it around this idler pulley over here, and around here, and around this pulley, and get it in place. So it goes around the 2 flywheels like that. Oops, I'm not around this idler though. To get it around this idler. goes around idler like that. That's how the pulley is put in place. Now I have to get this gear in through here, which has got to go in on the below the belt, like that. And once I get that in place, I should be able to put the screws in and then flip the belt onto the pulley, if I'm lucky. Now, with a little bit of luck, I'll be able to fish this belt up around onto here. Let's get my dental pick out to do that. I do believe the belt is in place now. As you can see, the belt spinning here. And then I got one more belt to put around this drive pulley. Like that. Aha. There we go. Belts have been replaced on this mechanism. As you can see, everything's turning. So now it's time to put everything back together. I know you're going to ask, am I going to zap these wires back in place? Probably not, because first of all, they're not going to go anywhere, but two, I don't really have any zaps that are, I might have some that are small enough. Let's take a look and see. I got some much bigger ones, but yeah, it looks good. Let's test this thing out. Let's put it back together and test it out.
So you want to make sure you open the cassette compartment before trying to assemble this, otherwise it's not going to go in. So just release the catch, and then the mechanism will slide right in place. Very simple.
Like that. That's in place. Unscrew. That one in place. Okay. Now I can start putting these connectors back together. First one here is this one. The one I marked number 2 is this one here.
So this is the critical part. You got to make sure you line up all the wires correctly. As you're going to find out, I'm going to miss one here when I close it up, and the result is going to be the tape counter is not going to work, and I'm going to have to
Of course, the third one, J1.
open it up again.
This one over here. We have our 2 audio connectors, which I've marked. Okay, this thing should be ready for testing. Put some power to this thing and see whether it does anything different than before. It didn't work before. Okay, forward. Haha, forward works. Reverse works. Good. Let's try a tape. Fast forward works. Rewind works. Tape counter's not moving. Is there another belt that's maybe drives that? Or does it have to? That's the inputs. Counter. Tape counter's not moving. We gotta figure that one out first. We may have a wire that's in the wrong place here. Aha. Well, these wires didn't go down into the right hole. And this, of course, is feeding the signal to the tape counter. We'll try that again. I'm not a big fan of these type of connectors with just have bare wires that plug in because it's so easy for them to bend over and get into the wrong pin when you're reseating them. Okay. Check that again. See if it works. The other ones all look fine. Yeah, tape counter's now working. See. Okay, let's test this out and see whether it actually plays anything. Okay, ready for testing? I don't know what Dolby's on this thing. So it's got Dolby B and C and off. Looks like it's working. Reverse play, of course. We'll do a recording on this thing and see how it sounds. First things first, we're going to do a speed calibration because it sounds to be a little bit high, and it is 447 hertz instead of 440 on the scope. That sounds about right. 440. I think I'm right on. Pitch wise, let's take a look on the scope. Looks good to me. Okay, set the recorder up. I've got it zeroed out here. I'll do a recording in both the forward and the reverse direction. On this unit here, you set your record levels by pressing buttons here. Dolby on and off. We'll do this in Dolby C. I hit the record pause button and that puts it into record mode. Now I can set my levels. And we'll do this track. We'll start this track over. So we'll hit record forward. So we just hit the forward button. That starts it in record and click our track. We'll let this record and play it back and see how it sounds. And yes, I've already cleaned the heads. Before anybody jumps all over me about not cleaning the heads, I did it. I just didn't show you guys me cleaning the heads. I don't think you guys need to see how to clean heads. I think you've seen that before. But I just used a Q-tip in alcohol. Okay? Normal way of cleaning heads. So don't jump all over me because you didn't see me do it, because it is done. There's the old belts that came out of this unit. 3 belts. We'll rewind the tape. Take a listen to our recording that we just made on this one. I think this has even got auto search, if I'm not mistaken. And there's our playback. Of course, if we want to record in the reverse direction, same thing, hit record. Pick a track. We hit the reverse record button this time and it'll go in the reverse direction, and then I can just see, that track is longer than what you guys heard for the opening. It was actually edited down. This is a full song, obviously, right? And that's how the track ends. You notice on here, this is the record playhead. It rotates around. So if I switch mode, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but if I fast forward back to listen to my track, my playback, zero the counter at the beginning. Got a really nice vacuum fluorescent display on this unit. Very nice looking little tape deck, actually. The operation wise is pretty neat too. Here's playback. Features intro scan, which will of course scan the beginning of every track. You can also, I believe, pick tracks. I don't know how that one works. I have to look that one. I believe that just goes to the next track, if I'm not mistaken. What other things are on there? Reverse selector. You can have it play just one side of the tape and stop, either forward or reverse. Auto reverse, which will play side 1 and then reverse to side 2, and then constant playback. So in that mode, it'll play side 1, side 2, side 1, side 2. So you can put one tape on and just leave it play all day, which is kind of a neat feature with the auto reverse decks. Today I've got a nice Pioneer double auto reverse cassette deck. So the deck I've got, I can load 2 tapes in. It'll play side 1 and side 2 of tape 1, side 1 and side 2 of tape 2, and then back to the other side. Kind of a cool deck that I had given to me. Anyway, this one's all done. It's gonna tighten up these wires. Gonna put some wire ties on here, put this back together, and send this one on its way. Got a tape door for this thing to go on, and that just snaps on like that. Might as well rewind my tape. That's it. Thanks for watching. Now you know how to change the belts on one of these decks. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.